Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So today we're doing a very special video, but wait a minute, this isn't right. Let's change this. That's right, it's Halloween, meaning we're making a Halloween doll, and I'm lucky to be a part of a collaboration with artists such as 10 Dance, BlankSpaceDolls, Creatures Factory, Doll's Brand New Look, HALI Crafts, Enchanterium, Hextian, hisnameisAkin, Kyro's Workshop, Moonlight Jewel Dolls, MyMiniMon, Poppen Atelier, Skeriosities, the Doll Fairy, Tiamat Creations, the Dolly Geek, and Dollightful. I am really looking forward to being a part of a collab with all of these guys. Anyways, let's get on to making our spooky Halloween doll. Let's go! To start off, I decided that I would use this Cleo Denial doll. She already had some shoes, some slightly odd hands, but anyways, let's get to removing the head. Dip the head in some boiling hot water. After leaving it there for about a minute, gently pull the head off so that you don't snap the neck peg. Now we can get to removing the hair. Take a pair of scissors and gently cut the hair as close to the scalp as possible. Then take a pair of long needle nose pliers to pull the rest of the hair out of her head. To do this, scrape them around the inside of her head and pull out any chunks that you get a hold of. This process can take a while. Now that that's all done, bin all of the gunky bits. Then take some pure acetone on a tissue and use it to remove all of her face paint. Try to use sweeping motions as to not smear the face paint. Now that everything's off, I'm going to start to work on her hair. I drew a quick concept design, and for her hair, it was going to be a huge pumpkin, so this time we're going to be using clay instead of any other hair. I took some clay and sculpted it into small cylinder-shaped things that I could place onto her head to represent the bits of the pumpkin. This process took a very long time, but I wanted to do it. For this doll, I wanted to make a pumpkin queen style thing. After sculpting everything for the head and a few curly tendrils, I decided to make a small stalk on the top. To do this, I decided to use a bit of epoxy sculpt. Take two small sections and mix them together, and then you can use it to sculpt what you like. I only used a small bit since it was only for the teeny stalk at the top of the pumpkin. I then went to sculpting it. I made a small hole for it, and used a needle to add little stripes to the top and flatten off the top bit. Then leave her somewhere warm to dry. Next, onto the shoes. I decided that I wanted to have the shoes look like little pumpkins, so I then took some epoxy sculpt to do the toes of the shoes. I rolled out some small noodles and then sculpted them to the top of the shoe to try and make them look like little pumpkins. That's one shoe done, and then that's two. I then, using some leftover epoxy sculpt, made a small pumpkin to go on her necklace. Now that the head's dry, we can get to painting it. I used some orange paint mixed with Mod Podge so that it would stick to the clay which I used. I then just took a paintbrush and painted it on. And then that's the head of the pumpkin done. Now on to the face up. To start off, take some pastels to blush her face. I decided to go in with browns and purples with some dark purple eyeshadow. Then go in with some pencils to add a rough outline. I wanted her to be looking slightly off to the side. I also decided that I'd give her purple lips after experimenting a bit with orange. I also wanted her to have dark purple eyes. I also gave her some orange eyebrows to match the pumpkin atop of her head. Then, using a black pencil, add in some small, finer details. Using your white pencil, go in to try and brighten bits of the eyes. Once you've built up as much as you can go in with acrylics to brighten the colours finally. I used the white paint to add some small highlights to her eyes and brighten the whites. And with that, that's the face done. Now we can paint the shoes. I painted the small pumpkins with the toe caps orange using the same orange paint from earlier. Now to paint the rest of the shoes. I painted them bright orange and then at the middle bit black. And around the bottom, I decided that I'd go in and paint some black and white stripes. To do this, paint the majority of it white and then go in with a very, very thin paintbrush to add some small black stripes. Luckily for me, the stripes were already sculpted into the shoe, so I just had to go over the lines. And now that's the shoes done. On to the outfit. This is the outfit that I had planned, so we're going to try and recreate it. To start off, take some black spandex. But first of all, I'm going to attach a small pumpkin necklace using the epoxy from earlier. Now, on to making the corset dress. I made a pattern out of some masking tape, then made it in spandex, and used some small clips at the back. Now, on to the skirt. To start off, my original plan was to use 2 bits of wire to make a huge hoop skirt. My original idea was to cut this shape out with a bit of wire at the top and a bit at the bottom so that it would keep its shape. Unfortunately, this plan didn't go as planned, so I had another go. I made something more like a lampshade, so that the fabric would not be more poofy at the back, and gave a much nicer hoop skirt. I then added some white lace around the bottom. To do this, I just simply glued it in place since I didn't want to alter the wire which I'd already made underneath the skirt. I added 2 small sleeves and now onto the corset. I wrapped some tinfoil around a doll and I used some toilet paper and PVA glue to make a little corset. If you want your paper mache to be stronger, you can always add a little bit of flour or cornstarch to the glue. Now that that's done, we can get to cutting it off our mannequin doll. Once you've got it cut off, you can then cut it to shape, and I made sure that it fit over the dress before doing anything else. Using a pencil, go and sketch on some details which you want to add to the corset. I decided I want to have 2 ribbons down the side and some buttons on the front. To start off, to make the small side panels, I originally tried sculpting them out of clay. This didn't work, so I went in with ribbon. Now to add some paint. I wanted to have a gradient on the corset, so to start off, I painted it white, and then added one purple to one side, and blended it to be very pale purple in the middle. And on the other side, I decided that I would also mirror this, but using orange instead. I also punctured some small holes at the back. Now to add the buttons. To do this, just take a needle and thread and gently sew the buttons on. Careful not to pull too hard, because since this is paper mache, it can rip if you were to pull the needle too hard or just be a bit silly with the sewing. I then threaded some embroidery thread through the back so that I could attach it to the doll. And then that's that done. I also added a small bead to the top. Now to reattach her head. Gently push the head on so that you don't snap the neck peg or ruin the face up which you've worked so hard on. Now to add some detailing to the skirt. To do this, I took some paint and simply painted it on. I wanted to have lots of twiggy bits with some pumpkins around the bottom. Unfortunately, since this is black fabric, you have to do a lot of layers. And with that, the skirt is done. I then also made her some orange socks using some pre-made Monster High socks, and just simply painted over them. Now, I updated her design to make her look a bit more scary, and I decided to give her a chain of human hearts. So to do this, it's back out with the epoxy sculpt to sculpt some little human hearts. I made the basic shape and used a needle to add small details. I also punched a hole through the middle of all of them so that I could put them onto a string. Now we can paint them all red. I simply just took some red acrylic paint and painted over the hearts. Since they're very small, your fingers can get covered in a lot of paint. I then used some dark brown paint to add some more detailing and texture to the smaller crevices of the heart. I then threaded them all on to the string. Perfect. I also left one to go in her hand. And with that, we're done. This doll was an absolute joy to make. I loved doing all the little details and the pumpkin hair, and it was such a joy to be able to work alongside such talented doll customizers. Anyways, I hope that you all have a really good Halloween and enjoyed this video. Links to all of the other artists will be in the description below. Anyways, I've got to go now. I've got some creepy stories to go and tell. Have you heard about the Dark Pumpkin Queen? She appears once a year, always on Halloween, slipping between the slender trees, stepping over fallen branches with ease. She starts to sing her siren song. It will echo all night long. One by one, they hear her melody. It fills some with so much jealousy. But others go to find the source. That's when her magic takes its course. Once they gaze upon her slender figure, her magic will begin to slither. Through their brains it diverts their gaze, into her eyes, pushing them into a daze. She steps closer, a smile coats her face. They're enchanted by her elegance and grace. Her claw-like fingers graze their chest, and this is when she completes her quest. Her hand pierces their bones and flesh, as she rips the heart from their chest, and leaves them on the forest floor. She doesn't care for them anymore. She disappears into the night, her face coated with pure delight.